Hello, I'm Julie Garnier from Rustic Cottage Co. and welcome to my channel. I am located in the northwest of England, but I have travelled quite a lot around the different countries, US, Canada and Mexico mostly, but also around the Caribbean. Through my journey of travel, I've learned to love the different styles of decoration, home decor and furniture, and started my own business creating and selling for myself. My channel here on YouTube, Rustic Cottage Co, is now doing so well. I am happy to create every week a different video to show you furniture, home decor of different styles, shabby chic, rustic, primitive, shabby chic, farmhouse, lots of different ideas. I love them all. I am equally all and differently. I hope I inspire you to create too, and I hope you enjoy this video. Thanks for watching. I'm Julie from Rustic Cottage Co. So I kind of went off to the thrift store today and this is what I picked up. It's kind of cute, I like it, but what I liked about it was the metal and the rope. I figured I could turn this into something a little bit more rustic, more my style because of the rope and the metal. So I'm going to work on different ways to give it a little bit more of a rustic look. And I'm going to start with painting the outside glass part in my usual white chalk paint. So I'm going to get going with that. Not much left of this chalk paint, so let's see what we've got here. I'll have to get some more soon, but it has lasted me. I've been in this country, in England for 7 months now, and I bought this one then, so 7 months ago. So I've been quite lucky. I've only been doing some small projects, but it has definitely lasted me. It's getting a little thick actually now, but that's okay. Anyway, it's going to take 2, maybe even 3 coats to get this covered. So just going to get a coat on and let it dry, and then another coat kind of thing until I've got it covered completely. The key to painting anything that's glass or shiny or anything kind of that way is the first coat doesn't need to be too thick. It just needs to kind of adhere to the shininess of what it's on. And then the other coats after that then can stick to the original first coat paint. So just kind of cover all the area, just doing inside the lid here and then the outside of the lid too, and I'm okay to get it on the metal a little bit. That's why I haven't kind of masked it off or got a small brush, because I want it to go over a little bit of the metal anyway, and you'll see why later on as I do more of the techniques to get that kind of rustic look. So just going to cover all the glass area with some white chalk paint. I'm using my usual chalk white Rust-Oleum chalk paint. Ooh, almost dropped it then, that wouldn't have been good. And so just get the first layer on, let it dry, and then we'll get more on after that. And just take your time covering it. It will definitely take more than 1 coat, probably 3 by the seams of this, but I will take my time, cover it all and show you in a little bit. As you can see, I have got 1 coat on. It's splodged on, it's quite thick paint, and actually rather than thin it down, I'm actually happy with that because it'll give me more of a pot look that I'm looking for when it's dried. the thickness of that, the chalkiness will give it more of a clay look, so I'll be happy with that. I'm okay with it going over the metal a little bit, and right now I'm actually purposely going to go over with some of the chalk paint the metal, because I will be touching up and creating a little bit of a rust look on the metal anyway. So using the chalk paint will give me a little bit of a base to be able to paint over for some rust look afterwards. As I say, I'll explain as I go along, but I'm just putting some of this paint over the metal and go from there. So I've got two quite thick coats of the white chalk paint on here, and I'm liking the look of it. It looks kind of more of a pot, so I think I may put some wax on later, but right now I want to work on the metal part. Remember, I purposely went over the metal with some of the chalk paint, and what I'm going to do next is use my selection of poster paints and do a rust effect. So the main colours I find, if you look at rust closely, it's mostly browny, orangey kind of thing, rust on top of metal. But if you look very closely at some different rusts on different metals, how it's oxidised, how it's worked out, the colours are brown, orange, you may see a little bit of green, and you may see a tiny bit of blue. Now you kind of could see some yellows and different things like that in there, but I don't want to do too many colours. I want to just do the basics, and I'm just doing it on the actual painted part of the metal only. So I'm going to be using very tiny brushes, and I'm going to be doing one colour at a time and just build it up. Now the main colour I want to see is the brown, so I'll be doing the brown first, and just get some on my brush and just take my time and just go over the white that is on the metal only. You can do a section at a time if you want to kind of be just, you know, very cautious with this. I want to show some of the metal, and I also don't want to go over the pot itself. So I'm just going to go over the whole of the white that is on the metal in this area. And then with a second brush, I'm going to do the next main colour, which is going to be orange. And this, I'm just going to dab in places. Try not to blend my orange with brown, but in my pot. And when you get the desired colour you want, then go with your next brush and do a little tiny bit of blue. And each colour, I'm doing them in sequence, but each colour I'm just doing less and less. So I've got kind of a lot there, so I'm just taking some off my brush so that I don't have too much blue. And then what you can do, if you feel you've got too much colour of one colour, you can go over with the orange or the brown on top and just build it up. And then last but not least, just a tiny bit of the green, just in a couple of places. And again, I'm going to go back over because I want more orange. I'm just going to go back over with the orange. Just in the areas I put the brown and the green. And then again, one more time, I think I'm going to just go a little bit in with some of the brown. And I'm very happy with that. Now, while it's still wet, I'm going to be using the cinnamon technique, and I'm just going to use a tiny teaspoon, and I'm using the end of a teaspoon, and I'm going to pick up some cinnamon and just put it heavily, but just in that area. Now, what you want to do really is put some paper or something under this so that any cinnamon that comes off, you'll be able to collect it and reuse it. I've got a bag under here, so I'll be able to do that. But just put it on there quite heavily, let it kind of soak in a little bit, and then you can then just move around on your paper or whatever you're using, just move around to the next section and then repeat. So I'll do this one more time here just to show you what I'm doing. I'll do this section here, and we're going to start off with the brown and go over all the white bits that are on the metal only. Using the brown first, covering all the white, because white is not in the actual rust colour itself, is it? The reason I did the white first is because I had white chalk paint, and white, the chalk paint covers the metal. Poster paint doesn't, it doesn't stick to the metal. So I use the chalk paint as a base to stick to the metal, and now I can use the poster colours on top of the chalk paint and it will stick to the chalk paint. Now next I'm going in with some orange. Just take your time going over the brown with the orange, and the blend of the colours brings out a really nice rust colour if you get it just kind of nicely blended in there. I'll put in just a little more here. If you go over the white just a little bit, you can always go back in with a little bit of white on there and redo that. Now I'm going to do this one's the green, right? Or is it the blue? It's the blue. Let's go in with some blue. Just in a couple of places, not everywhere. And then go in with the green. I like to go the green on top of the blue, like literally on top of it, so you've got less of each. They kind of merge into each other a little bit, and then go back over with the orange, because you don't want a lot of the green and blue, just a little. Last but not least, the brown. Go just over the top, just ever so slightly, just to, because you want it to look like rust but not be obvious colours. And then use the end of your teaspoon of the cinnamon and just pour it over the wet of the paint you've just been painting. Let it kind of ease there, and then go over to the next section until you have gone round and round the whole pot. So I'm going to do that and go round and round, and then I will show you the end result. Now, when you finish that, just to give a gentle blow. You don't want it everywhere. You certainly don't want it everywhere. The actual cinnamon. Blow it off, or use another soft brush and just brush off any that you don't need. Just lightly brush off any, and just go around any that, as I say, you don't need. Just wiping off any extra. Now I'm going to spray this when I clear coat. Try and use a spray or something that you're not brushing, because if you use a brush clear coat on top, you're going to brush away the cinnamon. If you spray, it will stay in place. So that's why I'm going to spray it. But before I do, I'm going to do just another one technique on this, and I'm just going to get cleaned up here and I'll show you that one. Now, just before I put the clear coat on, I want to just age this pot just a little bit. And what I do to age things sometimes is just put from my ink pad, just go around the edge of the pots here on top, just to give it a little bit of age. And also go around the bottom of it as well. So just all the way around the bottom. And then when you've done that, you're going to be just going down one, just with the edge of the pad, just down in a little bit of a line, just a little, just on one edge. Just to give it that little kind of almost broken look. And as I say, around all the bottom and the top. And that just gives that a little bit of an aged look, I find. Everyone's preference, but that to me just gives a little bit of a worn on the edges where you've been holding your pot. When it is completely finished, as I say, take it outside, give it a spray of the clear coat. You want to spray because you, if you brushed, you would brush away some of the actual cinnamon. So just use a spray and spray it all over and let it dry. So I am out and about, driving around, off to a quaint little place, but on the way, as we're going higher up, usually it doesn't snow much in England. I keep being told this. I do remember there was always some little bits of snow in that, and but not very much. It's usually wet, rain more than anything in England. And this isn't a lot of snow, but isn't it beautiful? It snowed in December for a few days, and there was a little bit on the ground and everything went to standstill, and then it snowed again here in March like it has done around the country. Anyway, I thought I would show you the snow, and now here at the canal, the frozen waters. The ducks are on top, the geese are on top because it's frozen. So it did get quite cold this winter, more than usual. A lot of people that have met me have complained that I brought it from Canada to England. I brought it with me, but I didn't. But it's still beautiful, still had a wonderful day out. The countryside in England is absolutely amazing, so I figured I would go out and show you around. Now back to the canal. This is not the same area as I went last time. This is a different area. There's so many different places to go to, and also beautiful and quaint. I mean, the backs of these houses, this is houses and this is the backyards of these houses, and they back on, and then they have little decks and little areas that you can sit and have, I would guess, tea, but wine or whatever your preference is, and to be next to the canal in your own backyard. even a chair here. Now, wouldn't this make the most ultimate fairy garden? Anyway, these are the backs of these houses. This is their back gardens onto the canal itself. Absolutely beautiful, tranquil, and now it's a little bit warmer, and I literally saw one of the geese actually break through the ice, so they are able to break through it quite easily and then swim around. But had a lovely day out and headed off to what I believe they pronounce Whaley Bridge. So on our way along the canal off to Whaley Bridge. Look at the little construction pit here of just they built at the back of the yard, a little place to cover up and have a tea or coffee and sit near the canal with their boat. Absolutely beautiful. Anyway, let's keep going and wander around and go off to a cute little village. It's up a little bit in the farmland area, little houses, little cottages, and then the village was absolutely beautiful. And oh, I just love the countryside over here, as I love the countryside in Canada too. I'm not comparing, completely not comparing. Very different, but equally as beautiful, but very different. This is so quaint with the canal and the boats and walking along. Just had a lovely time, a beautiful time. So as I say, we're in the area of Whaley Bridge, and Marple was another area we went to. But this part here is the beginning of 7 locks. Now, I haven't researched, maybe I should before telling you about this, because I think it's very interesting. Here's the lock itself, the first one of the 7, I believe. Now, the locks basically control the height of the water for the canal barges to come down. So the locks lock and unlock, letting water in and out, raising and lowering the canal boat so that you literally can go up and down hill in from one canal to another, there, you know, and even out to rivers. But the canals themselves have many locks, and this one had just one after another, 7 in a row. It would take a very long time. It's a pity I didn't actually see one happening, but it takes a very long time for this to happen, and it keeps the canal boat level and just brings it down right to the level you need to be for the next part of the canal. So very interesting. If you're interested, you research it. I didn't research it, but that's the basics. I just think it's absolutely beautiful here and wanted to share it with you. I hope you find it as beautiful as I do. You know, these buildings, the stones, even the walls, the pathways, the canal boats, all absolutely beautiful. Now, as we walked along, we came to this canal boat, and it's actually a pizzeria and cafe. They have the kitchen, they serve out of the canal boat itself, and along the canal they have little tables and chairs, and there were people having coffee from this canal boat. And I guess later on at lunchtime, we came out in the morning, so coffee was being served. Later on throughout the day you could get pizza. I thought that was just quaint, adorable, and look at them sat there just having their coffees in the most, well, beautiful area. Isn't it just lovely? So I hope you enjoyed coming along with me to this area and seeing the beauty of the area, and enjoy coming out and about with me, and also enjoyed seeing the little craft I did today with the aging of a very modern looking glass vase into something more of a pot with a rustic, rust literally looking piece. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. I'm Julie Garnier from Rustic Cottage Co. Don't forget to subscribe.